What up, pilots? Let's talk about the manual engine control and trimming in a P47. We are in the D28. Turn on the engine, turn manual controls on. So this is a radial engine. Alright. So with a radial engine, you can set your radiators to 20 because they're air cooled, not liquid cooled. So you can bring, in a radial engine aircraft, you can bring your radiators down lower. Magneto 1+2. Mixture 85%. All aircraft are going to be at about 85% with their mixture, except Soviet aircraft. So Yak 3, Lag 3, LA 5, LA 7, Yak 7, Yak 1. If they have mixture, you want to leave it at 80%. I don't think LAs have mixture, but the Yaks do. So yeah, mixture 85. Prop pitch, let's go to 90. Supercharger, there's only one gear, so you don't need to worry about that. Alright, so throttle up about halfway. Take off flaps down. Get to 30 knots, correct as needed. Throttle all the way up. $120, 130 knots. Pull up slightly, gear up, flaps up. Now I'm going to start trimming for my climb. So this is an American aircraft, so you can trim on the fly. You don't need to save this in this test flight here. You can do this in the match. So the P47 is a pure boom zoomer. You do not want to turn. You always want to have the altitude over whatever you're fighting. If you get jumped by something, just dive straight down to the deck and run, because you will not be able to turn against it. The only time you can at least somewhat turn against it is if it's a Focke-Wulf. Most Focke-Wulfs, most Focke-Wulf pilots don't know how to energy fight in a Focke-Wulf. So, but if you do come across a Focke-Wulf, a 190, I would suggest just running, because you have the slight advantage in speed in level flight. So I would just dive straight down, gain some speed, and then level out, and then just run. As soon as you level out, they'll slowly start. Once you level out, they'll level out with you on your 6, and you'll slowly start to outrun them. So always have the altitude advantage and the speed advantage in a P47. You'll want to climb to at least 12,000 feet, 15,000 feet, somewhere around there. But we're not going to climb that high because we're just doing a test flight. So 7,000 is going to be about good. Actually, no. We'll go to 8. So you see this dial here? That right there is the turbocharger RPM dial. That one the one all the way on the left side, the farthest left, where it says turbo RPM, the center of the screen. That's the turbo RPM dial. you can start using it at about 10,000. However, or excuse me, not 10,000. You can start using it at about 8,000 feet. You can use it at whatever altitude that you'd like, as long as you keep an eye on it. Because, well, let's see, once I turn it on, it's automatically set to 20%. Okay, that's its on, and I'm going to change it back to auto again. It's probably sitting at about 27, 28%, I'm guessing, just by looking at the dial. Let me turn it back on. It's at 20% now. The RPMs are going down. Let me turn it up here. Oh, I mean, starts at 50%. So let me turn it down. Let's go about 29. It was at 10, so yeah, it is about 20%. Yeah. Okay. So that dial there, you see the left line where it's going up and down. Let me turn it up again. So the left side, on the left, the hand that's going up is the dial that you want to watch. The line on the right side that's sitting at about 20,000 or 2,000. I'm not sure if that's times 1 or whatever, but where it says 20, that is the line you don't want to go over. It's at about 20.5, 21-ish, around that area. You don't want that left hand to go over the line on the right, because you'll overspeed your turbo. And when you overspeed your turbo, you'll damage your turbo in your P47, and you'll be at a huge disadvantage with speed. You'll lose so much speed in level flight when you damage your turbo. So you either want to keep it on auto and don't touch your turbo, let it do its own thing, or if you're going to use your turbo and try to get as much power out of your P47 as you possibly can, watch this dial so you don't overspeed your turbo. You can use it at any altitude, but if I were you, I would suggest keeping it in automatic until you get to 8,000. Once you get to about 8,000, give or take 10,000, somewhere around that area, then you can start using your turbo. But I'd suggest not using it until 8 to 10,000 feet. You can use it below that, but I wouldn't use it below that because it's really not necessary. Alright. Let me untrim here because we're at speed. Set our trim back to 0. Once you're at speed in a P47, my trim's at 0, all you really need to do is like positive 2 or 3 rudder, and then like negative 4 or 5 elevator. And that's pretty much it. Sitting at about 13,000 feet comfortably. You can also turn your mixture down a little bit as well when you're up a little higher, just to gain a little bit of extra power. But leaving it 85 is fine too. You don't really notice a difference. However, when your turbo gets damaged, you will notice a difference. So I think the turbo is at what, 30%? Yeah, 30%. Let's turn it up a little bit here. So we're at 12,000 feet at 45% turbo RPMs. So we're at about 17 RPM, 1700. I don't know. I don't know if it's times 2 or times 1 or what. So let's say 17. We're at 17 RPM. Try not to go over 19. I would just try not to go over 50%. I wouldn't even go that high, honestly. I would just keep it at like 43, 45. Your altitude does depend on the RPMs as well. So when you're climbing and diving in a P47, pay attention to the RPMs when you're using it. Now let me show you what happens when you damage the turbo. So we're at level flight, 10,000 feet. Let me turn it up. Let's overspeed it on purpose. There's the light flicks on. The light will flick on, and you got about 20 seconds to turn it down before it gets damaged. 30 seconds. So the light turned on about, I want to say, 10 seconds ago from now. So we're overspeeding on purpose. Turbocharger damaged. Yep, that was about 20 seconds. And then the light will go on, and then once you damaged your turbocharger, the light will go off. Now, since our turbocharger is damaged, we've lost a lot of power. Now our speed's going down. We're still at 100%. Magneto's still 1+2. Since our turbocharger is damaged, our trim is messed up now too. We were pretty level, now we're going to the left. Or excuse me, to the right. So we're gonna have to fix that. When your turbocharger is fine and you're at cruising speed at altitude, it's pretty decent. When you damage your turbocharger, it torques to the right a bit. Also, we were going what, 320, 330 knots in level flight? Yeah, now look at us. We're going 270 in level flight. That's a huge speed difference. Keep your turbocharger. Don't ruin it. Don't damage it. Alright. That's P47. Pure boom zoomer.